Hey guys, today we'll be analyzing this adware that I've downloaded from Malware Bazaar using Process Monitor. So first of all, we'll be opening up our Process Monitor as admin, and then the next step is to remove our capturing and pause it, and then we will start opening up our malware. Now let's open this malware and let it run for a few minutes before stopping our capture and start analyzing. So we will open it now, and then we'll start our capture as soon as possible. Okay, now we'll let it run for a few minutes, and then we'll pause and start analyzing it. And the purpose of this video is to show what sort of actions or behavior that this adware is trying to achieve using Process Monitor. Now that we have allowed our malware to be executed and spread into our system after a few minutes, I'll pause the capture already, and now let's start analyzing. So before we start our analysis, we make sure that our filter has been properly applied, which I already did. So I applied the process name is this one, which is our adware, and see the sub processes. So if we go to the process tree, we can see these are the two sub-processes, which are two executable files as well, which I already put in our filter to make it easier for our analysis to see what sort of action these executables are trying to do step by step. I noticed that in config.exe, it's launched with a specific command line. This gives me an interest. So I apply a filter in Process Monitor to track like write file operations linked to this subprocess. Upon review the filter result in Process Monitor, I would like to start off with the write file action on the install.exe first to see what sort of action it was trying to do. So upon reviewing the filtered result in Process Monitor, I observed several write file operations conducted by install.exe. So these operations were directed towards files located in these directory or path, which is the config.exe. Each write file operation involves writing substantial amounts of data with varying lengths into a file named config.exe. So based on this observation, I can infer that this executable is possibly involved in unpacking or configuring files necessary for the operation of the adware. So the command line for config that we saw at the moment in process tree here, command line that we saw here, suggested that it's configured to run silently with a specific site identification parameters, likely for tailored advertising or data gathering purposes. So the write file operation, particularly targeting the same config file in temporary directory, suggests that this file is being dynamically modified, or that its contents are being updated during the installation process, possibly with configuration settings or additional executable components required for the adware functionality. So this behavior indicates that this adware is not just a simple annoyance, but might be capable of more complex operations. According to what I can see, based upon my analysis, the behavior of config.exe using Process Monitor, I've come across like several intriguing actions that reveal a potentially malicious intent behind this executable. Here's what I've observed, my analysis of these actions. So first, as you can see here, the registry manipulations. I noticed like this executable file engaging in series of registry interactions. So it opens and modifies key in locations such as this directory code identifiers. My understanding here is that the executable is slightly altering system policies, which could lower security checks or modify how the system reacts to certain applications and code. So this type of registry activity often suggests an attempt to create a more permissive environment on the host computer, potentially easing the execution of harmful scripts or program. Furthermore, upon my investigation, I can see that it's also interacting with a crucial system files like kernel32.dll and kernel-base.dll in sysval directory. So sorry, sysval64 directory. So the operations noted involve creating files, querying security like attribute as well, um, and notably experiencing buffer overflow. Buffer overflow caught my attention because they are commonly associated with, I'll say, attempts to exploit vulnerabilities. So these might be attempts to execute um, arbitrary code or to escalate like privileges by corrupting the memory space of these vital system components. As I continue to analyze the behavior of this executable file through Process Monitor, it become increasingly evident that this executable is extensively interacting with Windows registry settings related to network configurations and system services. So here's a breakdown of my observation, what I assume this config.exe file is attempting to accomplish. First thing first, extensive registry interactions. As you can see here, it's engaging in repeated operations to open, query and set and close registry keys. So the keys involved are within the current control set subtree, focusing on network providers, sessions management, network order, and virtual machine integration like VirtualBox. So I would say that these registry keys related to network provider are accessed multiple times. So my interpretation here is that this config is potentially reconfiguring the order of or preference of network providers. This could be aimed to prioritizing certain network paths or preparing the system to use specific network services that might be controlled or intercepted by Adware. So if we move on to this section, um, there are also multiple entries related to VBoxSF, indicating that this executable is querying and possibly modifying settings related to VirtualBox, shared folders, and network providers. This suggests an attempt to detect if the system is a virtual machine or interact with the virtual machine components, which might be part of an invasion technique or way to spread within virtual environment. Um, Alarmingly, there are several instances where buffer overflow has occurred, um, which mean that this file encountered this buffer overflow conditions. So while interacting with these registry settings, so buffer overflows can be indicative of attempts to exploit the system vulnerabilities, possibly aiming to execute this arbitrary code through craft inputs that exceed the expected data length parameters. So the discovery of this buffer overflow is particularly concerning. In simple terms, it suggests that this file might be trying to exploit the registry interactions to escalate privileges or execute malicious code in a stealth way. These tactics is quite sophisticated and indicate a higher level of threat than typical adware, pointing towards capabilities that could severely compromise system security and user privacy. Overall impression of this adware through our using our protmon is that when it used that config.exe subprocesses, demonstrates characteristics of advanced persistent threats that not only aim to serve ads but also manipulate system settings for like harmful reason, exploiting weaknesses to gain more control or cause damage, and potentially prepare the system for further exploitation, like further malware exploitation. This added that this behavior of this adware is a serious security risk rather than just an annoying adware program, because from what it has been doing, it's like checking for virtual environment process as well. The keys as well. So for us as a security analyst or incident response team, it's important to take like strong protective measures and keep a close eye on this threat to prevent any crucial harm in the future.